Now do you see it? You basically got the human eye, there's the pupil in the middle and the iris, and it's like amazing little patterns that left eye goes with the left side of the body, right eye goes with the right side of the body. With iridology, it tells you the health condition of your avatar depending on where all these little bits are, and little indicators, sort of reflections of the avatar that can be seen by an iridologist. And there is a playlist on this channel, Iridology Diagnosis Solutions, very well worth looking at those videos. And if you think about it, it's expressed that a genuine, authentic human, the ones that you resonate with, have this light in the eyes. And of course, very much like as expressed with the symbolism, particularly with ancient Egypt and things, you have this sun with these rays that are coming out, and you've probably heard the expressions about people having stars in their eyes and things. Well, that's exactly what you have got with the iris. It's like star patterns. So what I was talking about in the last video, about sort of based on that, removing the plank or the rods from your eyes. Well, if you imagine these as like a cross section of a cable, like I said in the last video, so you've got wires, but of course some of them are pushing out like this. This is from what goes in, and how it's digested and processed will then go out. So if we look at sort of like a bit like a graphic equalizer. So if we start on this end and say this is like fear, anger, hatred, all the negative things, the ones that are pulling you down, it's a contractive energy. But the eyes flip things over, so it will project out the negatives, the negative way of seeing the world. So it meets with this, lost sight of where I am here. You could take these dotted lines as being an offered script. So this is its measurement of fear or negative energy, is sort of like this. And then that's met by the response from what is taken in through the eye, through the pupil, and then projected out through the iris. And because it's the way the vision is expressed, is it goes through a pinpoint, basically, and then flips everything over. The image on this side is reversed on this side, inside, behind the eye. So that's sort of pulling one way and pushing out that way, a negative, but it's actually a contract because it's reversed. It's actually very low energy, and it would actually be more correct to say that the low energies are on this side in this illustration. So the external reality is coming in closer to the eye. It's coming in because there is no positive output from the iris. So we can use this illustration again the other way. So if we have done the shadow work and we've sorted out our internal dialogue, our internal polarity, so the positives we are now radiating out and pushing outward. So this script, this offered script, you are now pushing and projecting. So that script can now only come within so close. It can't penetrate in the same way and cause the same negative output. You've processed it. It's gone through your system, your internal system. You've weighed things up, you've processed it, and now you're able to radiate out, and you're pushing out a more positive energy. So effectively, if you're to see that sort of energy from those irises, you're going to get sort of like this effect. So that's going to be the eyebrow and the nose. So it's going to resemble a lot of these depictions of like stars. It's not a very good illustration, but it's a as I go sort of thing, and I can't sort of give the full attention to turning out a sort of masterpiece in pencil, but I digress. The idea being, so if we put the other eye in as well, and that's also doing the same because you want everything working together. So that's the two eyes. So you've got this like projection. You're pushing out the way you wish to see the world. You are shining a light into the world in this unseen form from the iris and then the pupils. But it would just be such a bright, intense light that you're projecting out. And of course, where are we? You've got the third eye, which is going to give you your sort of pyramid, as it were, which is under a dome, a wise dome, as it were, because this is all emptied out. So that's why also the light, because as I said before, if you want to land a plane or very quick, it's not going to be a very accurate illustration, but let's say there's your white dove or angel or whatever, it's coming down. It's going to need a clear runway in here in which to land, and it's depending what these pupils are taking in and sending back here, right to the back of the head. You have to sort of see this as being a sort of cross section of the head, and that's the back of the skull there. So you've got this spiritual download that is coming into here, and it's now all sort of in union. So forget these eyes now. It's the real eye. It's the mind's eye that is now shining out the light, and that's, I suppose, the closest you could say is real magic. It's imagination that creates reality. It's how you weigh things up inside yourself, how you process it through your internal system within your own universe, your avatar, and the interaction of the biochemical changes that are created from what you take in through these pupils, and how you process them and where you are processing from. And ideally you want to be on that middle path, right in the middle of the 7 chakras. It's a very crude illustration. You've got the heart, so ideally this now becomes the lighthouse. So what actually is ascending, where you're ascending and transcending and transmuting, because you're taking in, but now you're flipping the script and you're projecting out positivity onto a background, and it's heart-centered because the heart is the 4th or middle chakra, and that is all connected. And you've got your place of the sun down here, and it's all working in alignment, as it were, and that's terrible. I can't even see what I'm drawing there. So yeah, so you're working in alignment, and now you're radiating out, you're projecting out into the world, and of course you have your, let's do another little illustration. Here we are down here. Oh, looks like an ant. It's a little pin man. So here's your reality bubble. So if you've got a small reality bubble, it's probably easier to learn to master. Don't take on too much, and then as you expand your consciousness, you expand your informed field, and you're radiating out. Oh look, it's starting to resemble an eye. It's all perspective. Deliberate pun, but you are the jewel in the Nile, you are the jewel in your eye, you are the light into this world, if you're projecting out and of course coming from here. So hopefully that expands and gives a slightly different perspective on projection and sight and reflection, the two-way traffic of the eye, your interaction with this external background scene, and how you actually do have quite a lot of freedom to operate within it, and with the right intentions, going out into the world, into your, and expanding your reality bubble, your informed field, your dome, your consciousness, all expressions that basically mean the same thing. It's basically like it's basically like the lens over the eye. It's protection, and it's like the waters above. It's what sits, if you're looking down upon the eye, you've got the liquid layer, which is basically sort of, shall we say, a firmament. And amazing things are how, going back to how iridology, you can detect, or an expert in iridology, I should say, can tell you from different inflections and things within the iris, whether you need more magnesium or you're deficient in another vitamin. It will all show in the eyes, and it will all show into the body, which reminds me another point I was going to make to this. Bearing in mind the micro and the macro, so what you're taking in through the pupil and how you process it, how you feel, will also manifest within your physical body as maybe a neck pain or a shoulder pain, for example. If you feel like you're taking on board the problems of the world and carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, well, that's probably why you're going to get a stiff neck and like holding tension in the jaw. Well, consider also, if you're projecting out, if there's an outer body with this external background scene, so possibly going to be causing blockages and things, and you're projecting out blockages ultimately to yourself. So again, it comes back to sorting out this alignment within oneself. So gut, heart, and your mind's eye. It's your grail, basically. It's the cup. It's the pineal gland. It's the real you is asleep in there until it's activated, which has to be done from the gut feeling and has to rise up. Of course, it has to drop 2 more chakras first. It has to fall. It has to do the fall of man. It's the letting go of the old world, of letting go of previously held belief systems, and allowing this to open to the sort of above, as it were. So this white dove can come down and fully activate you, and within far more enhanced powers than you've got now, but they are there. And it's entirely down to you if you want to put this to the test and find it for yourself. But my experience is that it's working. We're just firing little short rays at the moment. So we'll start. It's like everything. You learn to crawl, then you learn to walk, and it takes a while to master that. And then before you know it, it becomes second nature. And it's all through practice, practice, practice. And then you become a real living co-creator, and you are projecting out positivity into this world, spreading the love and changing the world. Now, of course, this is all frequency, so the other analogy I've used before, the Mary Celeste, the crew disappearing. Well, the ship is part of this solid material reality, so you cannot take it with you, as the saying. So what makes you think anything horrible happened to the crew? Maybe they just had a collective inspirational moment and they have actually jumped reality. And they've recreated all the familiar surroundings that they had before. They've created and moved into a new Earth, which is in exactly the same time and space dimension as this reality, but it's on a completely different frequency. Do I know this to be true? Yes and no. My experiences so far would indicate yes, this is the case. The radio analogy is another perfect one. If you are tuned into a specific frequency, there are many other frequencies just within the range of that radio, 87.5 to 108 UHF or VHF or whatever it is, on FM, frequency modulation. And but you can reattune yourself, and by doing so you're changing your vibration. And of course this is your interaction as a co-creator with that external world. And the more you push out the positivity is expansive, so therefore it's on a high in here and it's pushing out further here. The negatives on a low and they're pulling back in. So the external reality is coming far closer to you and making an impact upon you. You've probably seen in those cartoons where the eyes come out on stalks. Well, it's a sort of, it's not the actual eye that comes out, it's the stalks that come out the eye. And it's the interaction with this external reality, the ether, the atoms in the air, and it's all basically frequency. I mean, don't take this as the actual code, but it's a bit like hole punch cards where the light goes through the various holes. It's what you've got reflected in the sky as well. It's all frequencies and magnetism and influences and things, and it's like, are you going to let the script and the perceived reality come right up to you, or are you going to push out a positive energy that is going to repel that in a non-aggressive way? You're just flipping your polarity. You have processed the information, you have flipped the polarity of that information. You're not taking in the things that are designed to import fear and negativity and doubt. Worst of all is you end up doubting yourself. But by changing the polarity, by coming from the heart, you're now pushing out a positive, and it is extending far greater, and your informed field will grow. You are basically like in an egg. You are the seed inside that egg. You are creating yourself as a creator. It's like, well, who created God? Well, you're self-realizing, self-creating. Think about, in the intellect, it's talked about rationalizing things. Well, that's another clue. It's a ration all eyes. So don't take in too much, because it is like overeating. Only take in so much and then process it, weigh it up, and then decide what you are going to push back out. What are you going to radiate out from what you see? It's all going to depend on what is going on inside you, and how you process it, and how you have, what neuro pathways you have created in your mind, and what circuitry you have therefore modified, and so you're able to do things in a new way and see things in a new way and make a real difference and bring this new earth just by changing frequency. I mean, there's no real effort needed, and it's just something with practice will become second nature, and you'll just be able to do it instantly. Now that will be an instant download, it will be an instant manifestation ultimately. Don't believe me? Well, maybe you'll ask yourself why you've got doubts. Have you tried it? Have you tested this out for yourself? Do you know it not to be true? It doesn't cost anything except the limitations you put on yourself. But if you create the time and the space, because you are a time lord as well, because you are a creator in the making, so you can create time and you can create space, and you can do something positive with that. You can find it within yourself to create a new earth on a different frequency. How cool is that? That's pretty awesome, I think. That's something worth pursuing. Right, 2222. How about that? Way. So, love to you all. Hopefully that's sort of given you another perspective. And try seeing things, see this world in a new way, that it's not all bad. It's just contrasts for you to navigate your way through and flip the polarity, flip the script, make it work for you rather than it working you. So you are not a participant, an occupant, you are a living God and a co-creator. So love to you all, and find it in yourself. It's there. You just got to find it.